Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. And here I have a great article for you guys from Fierce Network. I'll leave a link to it in the description so you guys can check it out. So recently we had the Open Signal report come out with a fresh set of data, and we got the respective outlets making their articles around the Open Signal reporting. So annoyingly, T-Mobile's got the best 5G coverage hands down, and that is really the case, right? You look at all the availability charts as it pertains to 5G, and T-Mobile is usually ahead by wide margins. So T-Mobile execs like to talk about how the Un-carrier has risen from challenger to champion in the 5G era. You guys have heard my view on that. In order to be the champion, you have to have at least a network that's on par in coverage. You have to have at least 80% of your sites with backup power. And today, that is still not the case, right? T-Mobile is getting there. They're going to get there. But today, that's just not the case. The mantra may be annoying, but it's not wrong. And no, this correspondent is not chugging the Magenta Kool-Aid. They're just going based on the numbers that they're seeing on the third-party testing. And I'll leave you guys with the rest so you guys can check it out. A link to this will be in the description down below. So I do want to point out a few things, right? We have to talk about it. T-Mobile has been building its 5G network in layers, right? A lot of people aren't really looking at that when they talk about T-Mobile's availability, right? T-Mobile has been deploying 5G or some form of 5G since 2018 when they got the 600 megahertz auction, right? That spectrum was clean. T-Mobile did not use it in its network at all. It was a clean slice of spectrum, and they decided back then to dedicate some of it to 5G. And they also built that with SA in mind. So the competition was already behind before they even got C-band. And then T-Mobile got their mid-band even earlier than the competition as well. And they started deploying that earlier. And that was another mid-band, that was another slice of spectrum that they were putting on 5G. And they built it with SA in mind as well. So T-Mobile having the coverage lead on 5G, the availability, it should be to no surprise, but it's still, right, when you're claiming, I think the last time I heard they claimed 2.2 million square miles on 5G. That is still behind the overall coverage of the competitors, right? So there's still about like 500,000 square miles of LTE that Verizon has today, where, you know, you're still having to guess if you're going to have service with T-Mobile at all. According to the numbers that T-Mobile is posting, right? 2.2 million square miles of their network is 5G. I think their total network size is like 2.5 million is the last time they updated that. So there's still about like 300,000 square miles of T-Mobile's network that's LTE only, right? We have to look at that. So they still have a lot of work to do to convert some of those sites. And I know that's happening, but, you know, I want to hear them say, hey, we're at 2.3, 2.4, 2.5 million square miles of 5G network, right? We need to see them inch closer to the competition. But for the most part, right, in the metro core where they're still growing, which you guys have saw in my videos not too long ago, number 1, number 2, number 3 markets, tiered markets, right? They're growing in all of them. So it's working, right? But like I said, the challenger, the champion, the coverage piece was easy for them to do as it pertains to 5G NR because they started it in 2018. So they will have the reach over the competition. And then they started the mid-band like 2 years early. So of course they have the mid-band lead. But this year, next year, Verizon and AT&T will close that gap once and for all, in my view, at least on the mid-band piece. I don't know about the low-band radios and stuff because they don't really have a clean slice of low-band. The competition is having to split that with LTE, and they still have a ton of LTE usage, so I don't know if they're willing to move that over, but at least get the radios upgraded so when the LTE usage gets less and less and less, they can refarm that to NR, so they'll be ready to boost that availability. But I wanted to share this article with you guys. There's some good information in there, like you see the rationale, and they talk about the layer cake and, you know, millimeter wave didn't really make that cut. But here's one quote. So that said, it's T-Mobile's 2.5 mid-band spectrum that gives it the biggest bang for the buck because it has a lot of it and got out early with its deployment, as I mentioned. Far faster and sooner than Verizon and AT&T could do, since they had to wait for the C-band auction to transpire and then for that spectrum to be vacated by satellite companies. So they had to wait even longer. And then you guys can check out the whole story, and there's the Opensignal report, as I mentioned. The 5G availability, T-Mobile has a monster lead according to Opensignal. But I still think that's going to close very quickly. The competition, they spend a good amount of money on their network, and they're gonna get there, right? But T-Mobile, right, they still say they can maintain their lead. They're still 2 years ahead. So, whatever they do in 2025 and 2026 on the network should keep them, 2 years, if not more, ahead. So refarming, upgrading more sites, getting more coverage into the network, all that should be happening in 2025 and 2026. So stay tuned for more. Let me know your thoughts about this article. Like, share, subscribe if you're new. Follow my social media outlets. This is Tyrone with Tech Life. See y'all in the next one. Peace.